Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today we're unpacking the architecture of a statesman, specifically George H.W. Bush. We are going to look at how a lifetime of incredibly diverse public service built the absolute perfect foundation for his presidency, especially since he took the helm during some of the most dramatic global shifts of the entire 20th century. If you've ever wondered how raw, on-the-ground experience actually shapes a commander-in-chief, well, this is pretty much the ultimate case study.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1, his early career as the ultimate public servant, 2, the Reagan-Bush era, 3, his vision of a new world order, 4, navigating global crises, 5, economics and domestic policy, and finally 6, the Bush family legacy.
All right, Section 1, the ultimate public servant.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because to truly understand his presidency, we have to trace this staggering timeline. It's honestly one of the deepest resumes in American political history. In 1967, he enters Congress representing Texas. Then, by 1971, he's the UN ambassador. After that, he makes a massive pivot in 1976 to become the director of Central Intelligence, right before becoming the 43rd vice president in 1981. The big takeaway here? Before he ever sat in the Oval Office, he had already analyzed American power from literally every angle, as a legislator, a diplomat, and a spy chief.
And of course, that unmatched foundational experience culminated right here. He became the 41st president of the United States, serving from 1989 to 1993. When he stepped into that role, there was virtually no learning curve when it came to the vast, complex machinery of the federal government.
Moving on to Section 2, the Reagan-Bush era.
Before his own presidency, there was the pivotal 1980 election. 489, that is the massive number of electoral votes the Reagan-Bush ticket secured against Jimmy Carter. It was an absolute landslide. And it signaled a major conservative realignment in the country, with Bush right there as vice president to help steer it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this quote from future CIA Director Robert Gates. It reveals such a fascinating dynamic. He notes Jimmy Carter's early role in challenging the Soviet Union, which illustrates that the end of the Cold War wasn't just some sudden overnight event, right? It was a multi-administration chess match. Bush inherited this delicate, rapidly shifting landscape where Soviet legitimacy was actively collapsing, and he used his 8 years as VP to intimately learn the board. Which brings us to Section 3, a new world order. When Bush finally took the reins as president, he anchored his whole approach with one specific overarching framework, the New World Order. Formulated around the time of the Gulf War, this concept wasn't just a buzzword. It was about shaping post-Cold War relations through intense global cooperation, deterring aggression, and establishing real stability after decades of a tense superpower standoff. This was literally his blueprint for a rapidly changing world. And this brilliantly illustrates how he put that blueprint into action. We're talking high-stakes, direct engagements. You've got the Malta Summit in 1989, the Helsinki Summit in 1990, and the Chemical Weapons Accord. He was using that deep intelligence background of his to actively negotiate the peaceful end of the Cold War. He was accurately reading his adversaries and carefully managing global anxieties. He wasn't just watching history happen, he was actively writing its terms.
Section 4, navigating global crises.
Because, as we know, a new world order certainly doesn't mean a peaceful world. His crisis management was tested over and over again. Just look at the list. The Gulf War Coalition, the U.S. invasion of Panama, the 1991 Madrid Conference for Middle East Peace, and the Unified Task Force in Somalia. In every single one of these instances, you can see his prior CIA and UN experience directly informing exactly how he built massive international coalitions and deployed military power strategically.
All right, Section 5, economics and domestic policy. While foreign policy totally dominates his historical memory, his term was actually a massive balancing act. On one hand, you have this towering global diplomacy. But on the other hand, there were major domestic initiatives. I'm talking about advancing environmental policy by amending the Clean Air Act and doing the grueling foundational negotiation work for NAFTA. He was trying to reshape the American economy for a globalized era at the exact same time the world map was literally being redrawn. So the crucial point is that economic realities eventually clashed hard with political promises. His infamous 1988 campaign pledge, "Read my lips, no new taxes," became a major hurdle. Grappling with a growing national deficit, he pragmatically compromised with Congress to raise taxes. Was it economically necessary? Perhaps. but it completely shattered his political narrative with conservatives and played a massive role in his 1992 re-election loss.
Finally, Section 6, the Bush family legacy. Despite leaving the White House after one term, his historical footprint only expanded, cementing a modern political dynasty. Just look at how the family's service spans generations. You have his father, Senator Prescott Bush, his peer and partner, First Lady Barbara Bush, and then the next generation, with his son George W. Bush becoming the 43rd president, and his son Jeb serving as governor of Florida. The legacy of George H.W. Bush is just inexorably linked to this sprawling, multi-generational commitment to American politics. But beyond the family name itself, his post-presidency was heavily defined by education and preserving history. He co-authored A World Transformed, published his letters in a collection called All the Best, established his presidential library, and founded the Bush School of Government and Public Service at Texas A&M. He really wanted to ensure that future generations could study the exact mechanics of leadership and diplomacy that he practiced over his entire lifetime. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. How did George H.W. Bush's foundational work on NAFTA and his whole vision of a new world order set the stage for the 21st century? Because honestly, whether you look at modern global trade networks or today's international military coalitions, the blueprints drawn by the 41st president are absolutely still shaping our reality right now. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.